Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm kalikaiz and we're going over the Magic Online 5.0s. So this is going to show us what the best decks in the leagues are and show us a lot of spice. So get ready to check it out. Before we get into this, check out cardmarket.com if you want to pick up any of the cards in this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and let me know what you thought about everything. And then check out patreon.com if you want sideboard guides for the decks that I know how to play. So let's go ahead and jump into the metagame. We are looking at 26 trophies from Mono Red, 15 trophies from Jun Glee playing the Chrysalis. We've got Affinity as 15 decks as well, Mono Blue Terror at 8, Golgari Gardens, and Gardens is starting to splash as well, splashing for Chrysalis. Then we have Black Green Glee at 7, which really puts Glee itself at 22. So just under Mono Red is the top of the format. Then we have White Weenie, Elves, Gruul. So Gruul split between Ponza and no Ponza, all still playing the boarding party. And then kind of drops off from there. So if you want to see the metagame itself, we're looking at Mono Red as the highest amount. And then Jun Glee here, Affinity, Mono Blue Terror. If you do combine the two Glee decks, it looks more like a 3-deck format. That is something that you have to kind of just figure out on your own as you're looking at whether or not the format is healthy. Right now it seems to be there are 3 strategies that are really the best strategies, and everything else is kind of dropping off from there. We'll see if that continues to be the case. People do say that Mono Red is just a league deck, but I think it's all just that these are the strategies that have gotten the most broken cards in the recent past, with like Tomb Raider, obviously Glee, Affinity just keeps getting good stuff. And then Mono Blue Terror. Terror is just a strong deck that can continue to perform in Mono Blue or Blue Black. So we see some Dimir Terror as well in the leagues. So why don't we just hop into the days? Let's move this over here. Starting with day 1. We didn't have anything too stand out. We have 2 Mono Red, 2 Affinity, 2 White Weenie, 2 Bogles, 2 Izzet Terror. And then we have a Golgari Gardens, a Black Green Glee, Jeskai Ephemerate, Dimir Control, and Mono Black Control. So this Mono Black Control by Adonis 2K, they are playing very similar to the Gardens deck, but playing just Mono Black. So they've got the Trolls, the Rats, they've got this retrofitted Transmogrant, which can just continue to come back as an additional threat. And then they are playing the Toxin Analysis Crit Rats combo, which gives the Crit Rats Death Touch. Here is the Dimir Control. This one not playing Dark Ritual, but this is like more of a hard control deck. Looking to lean on Murmuring Mystic and Tolarian Terror as your finishers. And then using Thorn of the Black Rose and Azure Fleet Admiral as your way to get tons of card advantage with the Monarchy. Here we have a Grixis Affinity from Luffy de Chapeau de Palha. And Luffy has been basically the premier Mono Red player for Affinity player for a very long time. Usually if you're looking for a stock good Affinity deck, check out Luffy. Other people are trying a lot of fancier things. So moving on to the second day, we have Mono Red in the top with 7 trophies. Then we have a 1 Jund and 1 Black Green Glee, both from Adepto Terra. 2 Mono Blue Terror, 2 Golgari Gardens. The rest of one-ofs are Elves, Gruul without Ponza, Gruul with Ponza, Mono Blue Fae, Boros Bully, Madness Burn, Tireless Tribe again, and a Cycle Storm. So this is the Jund Brood-Scale list, which plays Krark-Clan Shaman to wipe the board. You've got the Brood-Scale, Singleton Evolution Witness here, and 4 Writhing Chrysalis as a way to kind of like stall out and have a big dumb beater for your mid-range plan. This is the more combo-oriented version with Brood-Scale, and it is the Black-Green playing 4 Brood-Scale, 3 Nightblade, 2 Evolution Witness is interesting. They're on 4 Duress, 4 Tamiyo's Safekeeping, so 8 protection spells, and then 6 Deadly Dispute effects, 4 Rumbles, and then you've got 4 Wellspring and 4-star 1 Rockets. So no other ways to get colored mana, but Wizard's Rockets, if it's untapped, you can make infinite mana and then sacrifice it and make infinite colored mana, which is kind of sweet. They're also on 20 lands, which I think is probably pretty good. 4 Haunted Mire, 5 Forest, 7 Swamp, and 4 Twisted Landscape. Sideboard has Wilt as anti-affinity. Here's an Elves from Bokuinha, and this is kind of the stock Elves at this point. Bokuinha is one of those players that just continues to play Elves. They're playing 4 Winding Way, 4 Lead, 3 Distant Melody, which is a ton of card draw. And one of the newer cards is Nyxborn Hydra, which is a X green enchantment creature Hydra. That's an 0/1. It has Bestow for X green green, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Or you can bestow it for the X green green, and the creature gets X +1/+1 counters in its trample and reach. So it is a way to push through damage in the end after you go off and make a ton of mana and stuff. Here's a sweet Boros Bully, but it's playing Basking Rootwalla, which is awesome, and the Sneaky Snacker. I really like the idea of this list, and it's also playing the Gates package. It's called Caw Gates, but really it is Boros Bully with some sweet tech. That's really neat. Here's a mono black Cycle Storm, actually playing red sideboard cards that they can't cast because they don't have any red lands, which is funny, but they're playing only Unearth as a way to get their Stinger into play. So they're going to go off, eventually unearth their creature and try to win from there. It's a neat way to make the deck work, and it's a way to make it work without playing Lotus Petals, though I think it's a little bit less consistent than any other of the versions. On the next day, we have Affinity as the most trophied deck with 4, then Mono Red with 3, 1 Glee at just the Jund version, a Golgari Gardens and Elves, 2 Mono Blue Fae, a Ponza, and a Boros Synth, which, who saw that one coming? Do we really have 2 Mono Blue Fae? We do. Okay. I'm going to highlight Tart's version because they are the Mono Blue Fae master from Japan. They're on 28 creatures, all 4 of, so they've got 8 ninjas. And then 4 Preordain, 4 Counterspell, 4 Snap, 2 Mantle of Tides, which gets to attach to a creature when you draw your second card each turn, which can make their ninjas a lot bigger. Here we have a Teamer ramp, so it's Teamer Ponza. Only 4 land destruction spells, but they're splashing blue for Muldrifter, which actually is kind of nutty because if you can cascade into a Muldrifter, that is a lot of card advantage. And I think I like Muldrifter as a card generally better than playing the You Meet in a Tavern, so maybe that's a good way to do it. They're playing Jewel Thief as a way to get blue mana as well. And then here is a nutty Elves list from Hirun Neri. That reads to me like a Japanese player, but I'm just making assumptions, and that's probably not a good thing to do. Here we have 4 Winding Way, 4 Lead the Seed, 4 Winding Way, 4 Lead the Stampede, 3 Distant Melody. So the same package as Bokuinha, but they're playing 1 Dread Return, Tuk, Lotleth Giant, and they have a combo here with 3 Hanger Scrounger, 3 Seeker Skybreak. So Hanger Scrounger has backup 1. When it ETBs, you can put a counter on another creature, and it gains this creature's ability until end of turn. And Hanger Scrounger's ability is whenever it becomes tapped, you can discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So Seeker Skybreak taps to untap a creature. So you tap to untap itself, getting infinite Rummage, which you can actually put Force into your hand with Korean Ranger if you haven't used it that turn, and then rummage through your deck. Once you find a Winding Way or Lead the Stampede, you cast that. Then you get a lot more card advantage, allowing you to rummage a lot more until you have enough going on. And if you have an opportunity, you can just mill over your entire deck or rummage it all over and then dome them with a Lotleth Giant, which is pretty sweet. Here's a Boros Synthesizer that everybody loves. Everybody loves Boros Synth. And we were wondering, like, why is Boros Synthesizer not being played when White Weenie is so popular? I think it's because Boros Synthesizer hasn't really taken up the mantle of Thraben Charm yet. But this one's playing 2 in the main deck. They've got 4 Hawk, 4 Skyfisher, 8 Inspectors, 1 Cleric, and then 2 Thraben Charms. So maybe this Synthesizer person should be playing 4/4/4 and then 4 Thraben Charms with 4 Blast, 4 Bolt. And maybe that would help them to push through. They do have 4 Synthesizer, 4 Lembus. I don't think the Journey to Nowhere necessarily needs to be there. It's something that's interesting to continue to try out, but it looks like they put 2 more Thraben Charms in their sideboard, so that does make sense. On the 31st, let's go to that day. We have 5 Mono Blue Terror, so Terror making a comeback, 4 Affinity, 3 mono red, 2 Glee that are Jund, 2 black green Glee, so 4 Glee, and 1 Kagate, 1 Panza, and 1 Orzhov Blade. Orzhov Blade definitely has not been showing up very much, but this one is by Niederschatten, who has been high in the trophies for a long time. Very good player. I don't think I see anything too different from normal, but it's cool to see that deck succeed a little bit. Let's see what's going on with the Kagates here. Was that a silly one? No, this is just regular Kagates. They're playing 2 Cleric and 3 Thraben Charm, 2 Journey. Kind of all over the place on the numbers here. On August 1st, we see 6 Jund Glee and 1 black-green Glee for a total of 7. 5 mono red, 3 Affinity, 2 for Elves and Gruul no Panza, 1 Panza. Then we see 1 Terror, 1 Gardens, 1 black-green Glee, 1 Kagate, 1 Boros Bully. And I've kind of glossed over this. Let's see if we have one in this. Gardens has started to bring in Chrysalis, which is kind of sick, but I don't see one on this day, so we'll see it later on in the week. Here we see the black-green, or the Lotla Giant combo again. Here's a Brute Skill that is splashing red for makeshift munitions specifically. 4 Duress for Snakeskin Veil as their protection of choice with an Urborg Repossession to get stuff back from the graveyard, instead of playing something like Evolution Witness. Here's another version of the Boros Bully, 4-color aggro, really sweet. And then we see a Chrysalis-based Brute Skill. All right. On the next day, we have 5 mono red, 1 Jund Glee, 1 black green Glee, 2 Affinity, 2 Golgari Gardens, 2 White Weenie, 2 Gruul no Panza, 1. Okay, no Panza whatsoever. Yay. 1 Bogles, 1 mono blue Fae, a Kagate, a Jeskai Ephemerate, Dimir Terror, and a Walls. So this black green Glee is kind of nutty because they're playing this bridge, and then 3 Tree of Dales, 3 Vault of Whispers in order to support Refurbished Familiar. And Refurbished Familiar, being a flyer that can pressure your opponent, is pretty good, but also just putting on the hand pressure is very, very good. And they can Blood Fountain them back here. That's pretty sweet. Fanatical Offering makes sense here because it makes a map token, which is also an artifact. They've got 4 Duress, 1 Snakeskin Veil as their only protection. And they're high on 4 Star, 4 Wellspring. 19 lands. They've got Troublemaker Oof in the sideboard, 4 Weather, 4 Drown. Wow. Barf, another top tier Pauper player for sure. So here we're seeing the Jund Gardens deck, and they're splashing for 4 Writhing Chrysalis for the main deck and 1 Breath Weapon. So this allows them to have a better game against mid-range decks, but at the same time, I'm not sure why that needs to be the case because they're chock full of removal. So, time will tell to see if this is the best version of the Gardens deck. It makes it easier for them to play Pyroblast, but they're not playing Pyroblast in the sideboard. They're playing Gorilla Shaman and Breath Weapon. Interesting. So this blue-black deck is a 5-0 that I had on video that you can check out on my channel. And it's playing 4 Sneaky Snacker, 4 Tolarian Terror as the only creatures in the deck, and then we're playing Careful Study to pitch the Tolarian or the Sneaky Snackers, and also kind of fix the hand up. It was a really sweet league, so hopefully you check that out. On the last day, we have 4 Jund Glee, 1 black green Glee. So Glee was the most trophy deck at 5. A mono red, a Golgari Gardens, 2 for White Weenie, 1 Elves, 2 mono blue Fae. Then we have a Dimir Terror, a Walls, an Orzhov Blade, and a Mardu Synth. This Walls deck by Apis was labeled as Familiars because apparently it just does that off of the 4 Sunscape Familiar. But Apis is using Sunscape Familiar to make all the rest of their cards cheaper, which ends up being pretty sweet. So they can play an Overgrown Battlement for 1, Axebane Guardian for 2. Otherwise, it's a pretty much combo-focused version of the deck, with a lot of white sideboard cards. Wow. Honorable Scout for red, Crimson Acolyte for red, Obsidian Acolyte for black, Revoke Existence for affinity, 2 standard bears for Glee and Bogles, Pulsa Marasa, and Guardian Naga, which exile target artifact or enchantment. They've got 6 ways to exile artifacts for affinity. This one is labeled Glint Blade, but it's really Mardu Synth, which is the Hawk Skyfisher refurbished familiar deck, and they're playing Tithing Blades and also the Experimental Synthesizers. And here we see another Elves trophy from Raketa, playing a lot less of the draw spells and changing some of the draw spells for Nyxborn Hydras and Avenging Hunters. It looks like they like their Avenging Hunters definitely in their deck. So that's the metagame, and let's check out the challenges. So Curvlinksy on Twitter has done a really nice job of putting together the challenge data. We'll pop this out. That might actually make it too hard to see. Oh boy. All right, well, bear with me here. We're doing it. Okay, there we go. Friday. So Mono Blue Terror most played, then Brood Scale, Grixis, and White Weenie, with the highest win weight for Brood Scale in the top. On Saturday, Terror, then Brood Scale, Stompy decks, Golgari Gardens, and Affinity are the top 5, with Eldrazi Stompy with a 64% win rate. That is just impressive. The deck is really powerful. Big beaters. On Sunday, it was the most played deck with a lot lower of a win rate. Then Grixis Affinity coming in second. Jund Brood Scale specifically at 59% win rate. Only 5 pilots though, and then White Weenie and Gardens. So it looks like for this challenge specifically, people basically were playing Stompy or Affinity with a lot of stragglers behind. So right now it looks like the format is mostly Affinity, Glee, and Chrysalis decks. So pick your poison between those. Maybe if you want to check out some of the more spicy lists, dig into the links that are in the description below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.